If you want to drive more e-commerce revenue without increasing your ad spend, and you want the revenue today, not in a year, it's email and CRO. That's how you do it. Reconvert customers from long ago and turn existing site traffic into revenue. The cheapest customer is the customer you already have. So if you want help with this, come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and ask to speak to me directly.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
My new favorite email program, Dôen. They're not marketing to the lowest common denominator. They're marketing to people who intentionally want their emails in their inbox, and I appreciate it. If you are in a promotions tab that is stuffed to the gills, you want them to be looking for your email because you're fighting against all these brands. This is a different kind of program. This will happen from a CRO perspective. People will come in and start changing stuff. You might win a split test, but you start degrading the quality of the brand. It's the world's best email retention podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Gordon. We are a member of the DTC network of podcasts and the philosophical home of the Pilot House email and customer retention team. If you want to make the sweet nectar of low-cost revenue a large part of your digital ecosystem, then follow us on your favorite podcast app today. This time, I'm going to show you my new favorite email program. It's from a brand called Dôen. Love their email program. It's D-O-E-N, and there is some kind of accent on top of it. It's very European. And when you get into the email program, which I'm going to share with you, it's very artistic. Now, this exemplifies something we discussed back in episode 43 on minimalist versus maximalist email programs. So if anybody wants a good listen and to hear me totally shred a whole bunch of brands on episode 43, go check it out. But for now, let's focus on this amazing, supple email program. So here, let's look at this. First of all, behind the scenes, our summer collection. We talk about how important it is to bring someone into your world when you're building a brand. And look at how much they bring us into their world. Now, if you're doing on-location shots, you must obviously be doing shots for your behind-the-scenes shots. So you've got to be doing shots of your shots. You must be doing it. And look, the technology is so simple these days, you can just do that part with your phone. In fact, if you take some, images and there's some motion in it, right, and it even looks kind of like you're in the background with your phone. I mean, there's, depending on how on your art direction, that could really fly as well. I'll just take you through this grid that they've got here. It's multi-layered. The pictures on top of pictures, I mean, look, it's not the first time it's been used, but every single time I see it, it draws me in. Sometimes you do it at other angles, so it looks more like they're thrown on the table. These ones are all square. I don't think either one is better or worse, just different approaches. But you can see even layered behind that. So they've got the photographer, they've got, what is basically on the top right, a product shot. You've got what looks like kind of the models in kind of behind the scenes moment. And then you've got just behind that a shot of the beach. And then behind that, you've got this kind of classic handwritten letter with some artwork on it. I mean, look, of course, this brand sells like several $100s for a shirt. It's a premium product, and clearly they're reinvesting that money in creating the world that the customer is going to be a part of. What a beautiful hero shot right here. Summer in Thailand. I love the cursive handwriting, nice and classic, and really small text. And you know what? It's an intentional reader. I want to call this out. This does not assume the lowest common denominator. And there's this thing, in writing where you want to write in kind of business writing, and this comes up when, in some documentation and marketing that you're writing to like a grade 5 reading level, which doesn't mean you assume your audience is in grade 5. It doesn't mean you assume your audience is unintelligent. It means you assume your audience is busy. Yeah. And you can't guarantee that you're going to get the attention necessary to read very complex writing. That said, I've been exposed to this kind of writing for my whole life. And when I go back and read old treatises from, say, the 1700s or something like that, very complicated sentence structures with, multiple compound sentences. And the reader's expected to maintain kind of all of this in memory as they read in short-term memory. Look, there's nothing about the writing that they're doing which assumes the lowest common denominator. The text is super small. There are long sentences, plenty of commas, plenty of things we have to hold in memory, a difficult, like a challenging font to read because it's in cursive and not everyone really reads cursive anymore. It assumes that the reader, that the audience is already in their world and that they're going to put the time into reading this. And that assumes that you have a captive audience. So they're not marketing to the lowest common denominator. They're marketing to people who intentionally want their emails in their inbox. And I appreciate it. Another kind of photo grid here, just great location shots, right? A little selfie from one of the models. What a great email. You get this and you just think, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to this right now, right? Nice little shot. And that would be a pretty easy shot to take with like this shot right here. If you have an iPhone and you set it so that you've got live images, it's going to take that shot and it'll maintain it for 3 or 4 seconds. So you can get these kinds of shots with very simple technology and then just turn it into a GIF on just Google kind of video to GIF, and you'll get like a bunch of different generators. I won't call it the one that I use, but yeah, you can just find those really easily. So some of this, the designs up here, these multi-layered designs, obviously you need a good designer and you need a good eye, but also some of the stuff it's not difficult for you to produce. So you can be doing this kind of thing. Obviously the location is tough, but look, if you're your own kind of brand, look, when you're going on vacation, you better be taking some products and you better be doing some product shots on the beach. You know what I mean? Yeah. What a beautiful picture. What a beautiful email. Behind the scenes, our summer collection. That drew me right in. Immediately I wanted to click on it because it was behind the scenes. Interesting, right? Just because it was behind the scenes. I wanted to look at that email. Let's look at this other email. Character study. The Hardy Top. I love the way that this brand frames things. Character study. I wanted to read it. I wanted to look at this because it was a character study. The people who are making these emails, I assume they're well educated, and they're speaking to an affluent audience. They're not assuming the lowest common denominator, right? I just saw that subject line and thought, I just remembered, literature class. And what's interesting is how you take a visual medium and kind of build it around this, kind of very common literary analysis. I wanted to know how they did it, right? So I opened. If you are in a promotions tab that is stuffed to the gills, and if you want to know what it is to be stuffed to the gills, you go back and you look at the American Eagle versus Everlane versus Urban Outfitters that I did, where it's like just flooded with emails, right? Look, if that's the inbox that you're in, you want them to be looking for your email because you're fighting against all these brands, and it's once a domain's big enough, they can do an email a day. Shout out to Benny at Senders Co. Shout out to Pierre at MailSore, deliverability experts that I've had on the site that talk about this. you got to be a program that people are looking for. That's how you're going to get your engagement up. Someone's excited. Oh, another one. So, character study. Okay, how are they going to do that? And of course, look, character can be visual too. Character's not only literary, but that's what drew me in, was that kind of, that concept. A forever favorite. And so they show, here's the hero wearing this shirt. This is I'm a guy. This is a kind of shirt I was not even familiar with, but just blown away as I went through the email. So again, this nice little design elements, small font. You've got to be intentional. Looks better on mobile. Looks a little more appropriately sized on mobile. It's HTML text. So they've got a bunch of images and they've got some HTML text split in between so that it scales well from device. But in this case, like I say, it's small. You have to want to read it. There's nothing about this program that's in your face. Great, further beautiful design elements. This another nice photo grid. A little bit of a kind of, different outfits, animated GIF here. This is, I don't want to say that this animated GIF cheapens the program. There's nothing cheap about this program, but this is more, kind of classic, email marketing kind of GIF. And so you can see the model on the left and different ideas that can make that outfit work on the right. And then I like this too, on our community. So yeah, here's stuff being worn by our community, right? On our community. And the women wearing, $400 or $500 shirts, they obviously love their clothing and they're going to be shooting it. So some great shots. And then, yeah, you know what? Another product, just, hey, this isn't the product. So it's just another idea at the bottom of the email for anyone who got that far. And what do we got in the menu at the bottom? What's new? Tops and dresses. Obviously no sale menu item. This is a different kind of program. They might never go on sale. What a cool email. Character study, right? Let's just click to the next one. You know what? I wasn't even thinking about the next one, but let's just click through a couple. So really awesome grid, right? Oh, I could just scroll through this program all day, right? Of course, some of it's about the location, but hey, you should be thinking about your location too. And every time you go on vacation, you are on location. Now, I do have one thing to go through, which was a bit of a find for you. So it's my job to audit programs. I do find problems with programs. I wanted to share this that happened in my inbox. I'm always rooting around for rule flaws in inboxes. You can find them when you look for them. And think about this is what I'm not in their program. This is what I think happened. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't cheapen the program at all. I'm so happy to be on this program. I'm happy to have them in my inbox. I'm just skipping to these emails in my inbox because you can imagine how cluttered my inbox is. This is like my new favorite program. Here we go. Left behind the heady top. A gentle reminder that it's not too late. This is an abandonment email. And look, May 27. So the emails I just showed you a lot of them were quite recent. But this one, May 27, 3:16. And then down here, the exact same email, May 27, 3:20. What's happening here? Another gentle reminder. Another abandonment email, right? And you can see here, different recommendations. So it's not the same email. You can see that there's different recommendations. My guess is they've got, by the way, they're using some products that I recommend you all use. Products that my team has officially endorsed. Sonar from Triple Whale and Black Crow. I forget the name of the product title, but Black Crow, they do the same product and it increases the reach of your abandonment triggers. So obviously like active on site, viewed product, these events are lossy, right? Like not every single one gets recognized. And so they use fingerprinting and machine learning and all kinds of different stuff to lengthen the amount of time that those trigger points are available and to increase the number of addresses that you're able to reach through those event triggers. I'm not paid to endorse those products. This is stuff that my team uses and loves. So my guess is they're using one of these products and they don't have the rules set up to make sure that, when you receive one, you don't receive the other. Look, it can happen, right? It happens to the best of us, even to Dôen, who have one of the most beautiful email programs in my inbox. So, look, moral of the story there, that's my thinking of what happened. Because as you can see, it's two different recommendation sets, right? So it's two different emails, probably coming from two different flows. Also, potentially it's an abandoned cart and an abandoned checkout. Because I abandoned, right? So, and I generally, when I do that, I go all the way to cart checkout. I go all the way to checkout because I want to see what's going on inside someone's program. In either case, this is how you deal with this. I recommend you go in your program and you do it. There's a waterfall. The very top of the waterfall is checkout started, then cart, right? All the way down to site abandoned. And you go in and explicitly exclude the data point above you on the waterfall. And the same thing happens vertically because you got, say you've got Black Crow and you've got Triple Whale sonar, right? And you have to build the same waterfall so that, and I generally, the way that I approach this is I take the native data point and then I exclude the native data point from the first one, which would be, say, Black Crow. And then I exclude the native data point and Black Crow from the sonar, for instance. And then you've got this situation where once you have reached one layer, you can't be in the other layers, whether it's vertical or horizontal. That's how you prevent, people just, it prevents this, but it also prevents people just getting tons of emails flying around from tons of different programs. So, little lesson for you. Anyway, one last point. Look, one of the things that I liked about this was I said that the copy, you'd be intentional to read the copy. Got to be intentional to read the CTA too. And it just made me think back to early days working with designers where I'd want to make these bold CTAs that a bold CTA gets clicked. And the Amazon CTA is like this rounded orange over white CTA that got tested a bajillion times and that became the color. And I had these designers who didn't want to do that, right? They were using these transparent CTAs. And you know what? When you split test a transparent CTA against the bold version wins. It's just the way it works. But what you need to understand, and what I didn't understand at the time and I have come to understand now, is, those two against each other, the bold one wins. The transparent one, for instance, doesn't win. But how that CTA fits in with all of the elements, when we look at this program that we just looked at, how that CTA fits in with all the elements and the world that the designer is creating, that's how you draw someone in and get them to really notice your brand. And so when you start doing this will happen. You'll start, people from a CRO perspective, people will come in and start changing stuff. You might win a split test, but you start degrading the quality of the brand. And I would say here at Dôen, the designers have won. And there's nobody messing around with their font or their copy or their CTAs, and makes it all very intentional and incredibly beautiful. So my hat's off to the team there. And hey, have fun spamming.
In the inbox late night, glowing screens see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey entrepreneurs and spammers, remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.